Okay, what we got here is the LCS 1020B DeWalt 10-inch electric chainsaw, and it goes for about $100 if you shop around. And it's been a great little saw for when you're in a lift or you need to prune a branch. For small cutting, I've done quite a bit with it. It's certainly not gonna, cut all your firewood for the year, but what happened after a couple of years, I was cutting 2 weeks ago and the thing started smoking. I wasn't cutting that hard. I probably have just worked the motor out. And then I went online to look. I'm like, someone's got to make a replacement for this thing. It's probably not quite worth it, but I figured the motor is only $10-20. I didn't find anyone who had repaired them and said how hard or worth it was yet. I finally got to taking it apart, and here's the motor that was in there. And it did have, I thought it had some markings on it. Oh yeah, right here. You can't see them very well, but it's a, let's see if I can get it in, 775 WC dash 9511, made in China, BN 188321. Looks like CW15 9059 4330, 18 volts. It's like a 20,000 RPM motor. It had a little gear right here on the end of the shaft that was just pressed on. I just pounded that out just with a couple blocks of wood here. So I just set it up and got that gear trapped on there, and then I just tapped on this shaft pretty hard to get it out. And then the new motor I got, they had these quite a few places, but it's a same model, 775 DC motor. That's what I searched for. The one thing that was different here, and you can see how it slides into the housing, and I've kind of already screwed it on, but where the housing goes through, this part of the housing right there is a little bit narrower. It was like 14 millimeters on this motor and 17 millimeters on the new motor. So I just used a step bit like this to just take off a 1/8 inch or 32nd of an inch. It doesn't have to be an awesome fit, but it seemed to work pretty well. And there was plenty of material here on this shaft where it goes through. There's a hole in the housing that it's got to fit into. And then there's just two Phillips screws in there that mount to the motor. And those mounts all matched up and the threads matched up. Same on here. So anyways, sorry I didn't do the teardown video. It was a very easy piece of equipment. Like usually I stray away from fixing these battery powered things because once you take the screws out, lights and switches and springs and stuff all fly out and it's difficult to get back together. But I'll put it back together and I'll show you hopefully how easy it is. I've not tried to reassemble it, so we'll see how this goes here. Okay, so I think the first thing, I just got to tighten these housing screws in here. Oh, and this gear can just slide off of its bearing. Yep, so these are tight. And there was a washer, a flat washer and a lock washer on those two mount screws. There's a little grease dabber in there, it looks like. This thing was super clean. The gears didn't seem to have any issues. And then one thing, when you tap this gear back on, it's got to be a certain height. So it's about, I don't know, a little less than 1/8 of an inch to get full bite onto this other gear. Okay, and then this one fit something like that. There we go. And there were 4 screws that mount this into the housing of the chainsaw. And those were a T15, I think. I know the Black & Decker tools are pretty low end. I like them because they're so cheap. And so you can have a lot of them. You know, I have 2 blowers, 2 trimmers. I kind of pick them up at garage sales or Craigslist or Facebook or whatever. Let me see if I can pick that up to give you a little bit of view. So these 4 just hold that gear housing into the housing of the chainsaw. Okay. So, let's see, get a little better look in there. Just those 4 mounting screws here, here, there, and there. And then, I don't think there was that much more to this. Let's see. It's been a couple days since I took it apart. So I think the next piece that can go on here, let me give you a little better view. Is this side handle. And while I was in here, the oiler has never worked that great. Maybe it's this filter thing. You can see you're supposed to be able to push here. Maybe this hose is a little too crimped. Whatever. I will tell you why I don't really care about oiling on this saw. It pretty much, where was that from? Oh, yeah. So that bolt just goes in here, and there's a plate that goes on top of this. Because you're not running the saw, these electric saws don't usually run at very high RPMs, and so the blade's just not going around that many times on the bar. The bar and the chain are super easy and cheap to replace. They're like 10, 15 bucks. And I've cut, I don't know, over 1,000 cuts with this through 4 to 8 inch wood. And I don't see any burrs or anything on the bar. Sometimes I do oil just the chain, you know, a couple drops before I start. That seems to be plenty. I don't think the sprocket has, oh, it does have a greaser on it. I don't think I've ever greased it. Anyways, then there's just a bunch of screws that go in these mounting holes. There's 1, 2, 3. These are all Phillips. 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, and then there's some for the handles and the rest of the pieces here. Just toss the Phillips on here somewhere. Got too many projects going on at once. No, it appears to be also a T15. Yeah, but this thing was just super easy to take apart. Even the switch here, I'll make sure that works before I tighten all these down. Seems to work all right. And then, yes, this housing went here, and then I think you can see there's just two leads for this motor. One right here, and one right there. And let's just make sure that it works here. I probably need a few more screws. And this is always the tricky part. Can you get the thing back together? Let's see what we got. Oh yeah, there's a little wire down here. Just needs to get pushed out of the way. And then this just had a few fill-ups. Okay, let's see if we got any action going on here. Okay, that does seem to be going in the wrong direction. So the leads on that motor might need to get switched here. So either I put that motor in, maybe it's rotated 180 degrees clockwise. Hopefully we can just switch the leads here. Not gonna reach. Okay, we may be doing this all one more time. Okay. So they are. So just watch that when you're putting the motor in. The positive lead should be on that side. I'm just going to reverse them here. I could take this apart and change the motor, but I don't think these little wires and exactly where they are is going to matter that much. And the way I use this, I probably am going to have to replace this motor again. So I'll just do it right the next time. Okay, I'll just stuff that right there. A couple of these are a little bit deeper wells. All right, let's see if we got her going the right direction now. There we go. It should pull the bottom of the blade towards the saw. I've also made a little upgrade here with some dogs, metal dogs, which have been very helpful. Okay, then there's just a little plate and that bolt for the bar. And normally I would clean all this stuff off for a bigger saw like my 372, but this thing's so disposable. I doubt it's gonna last 5 more years. It almost doesn't need the cleaning. Okay, and then I got a couple more deep ones here. So super easy saw to take apart, work on. And if you break the housing, you're SOL, but other than that, it's been pretty durable. I toss it in the back of my car. I always keep it out in the woods with me when I'm doing other cuts. Because if I get a saw stuck or have to limb in a hard spot, that's really a nice one-handed lightsaber. Okay, and then we have the other part of the handle here somewhere. Just this little piece right here. And this is the other, where that other T15 screw went, the little bit longer one. And then 2 more Phillips right here. Okay, pretty much all back together. Just toss the blade and blade side cover on. And of course, make sure this is all going the right direction. Cutting teeth should be sharp on the bottom here, and they are. There we go. And this is just the mechanism for tightening the blade without a tool, which is also very handy. Seemingly durable and easy to clean out. So that just goes on here. They're a little loose. And this outer knob just tightens her up. Seems pretty good. Okay. Toss that battery back in. Sounds a little different. We'll see how long this new motor lasts. And I'll even take you outside. You can see how it cuts. And these are a little bit big. I just pre-cut them. Let's put you over here. So the electric chainsaw doesn't have to do a lot of work. I just pick these up from my folks' place. It's not smoking anymore. So that was partially cut. Let me just cut a fresh round for you. So I'd say a little slower than before, but works pretty good. Thanks for watching.